Good afternoon and welcome to your weekly FX options report. Today is Wednesday, August 4th, 2010. In midweek trade, the major U.S. stock averages are holding on to modest gains. Now, in Wednesday's session, we saw the release of the ADP employment report as well as the ISM non-manufacturing services index. Now, this week focused a shift on over to the U.S. jobs report for the month of July, as well as central bank meetings. Both the BoE and the ECB will be announcing their interest rate decisions on Thursday. And ahead of Friday's jobs report here in the U.S., the ADP announced that the private sector added 42,000 jobs. Now, the ADP employment report does not factor in government jobs. And meanwhile, in other overseas economic data releases, UK services PMI fell unexpectedly in July to 53.1 from the 54.4 reported in the prior month. The Eurozone services PMI also rose to 55.8, but still came in lower than expected, which was a reading of 56. Now, in the spot FX market, the US dollar is trading higher against the majors for the euro, pound, and the Japanese yen. Now, dollar yen earlier hit intraday lows of 85.33 and is closely approaching fresh 50-year lows. Now, one way to trade your views on US dollar strength or weaknesses to take a look at IC's FX options. One advantage is that they are US dollar denominated. For more information, you can go to www.fxoptions.com. And in our next segment, which is our daily trend report, let's start out by looking at the AUX, which is the U.S. currency against the Australian dollar. Now, for that pair, the downside prevails and the RSI is capped by a bearish trend line. The preference of trading central analysts is short positions below the pivot of 118.50 with targets at 106.75 and 102 in extension. And moving on to the BPX, which is the U.S. currency against the British pound, that pair is under pressure. It has broken below its bullish channel lower boundary, and the preference of trading central analysts for the BPX is short positions below 66, with targets at 61 and 60 in extension. And for the CDD, which is the U.S. currency against the Canadian dollar, that pair is also under pressure. The RSI is capped by a bearish trend line, and the preference of trading central analysts is short positions below 106 with targets at 101.40 and 99.50 in extension. For the EUI, which is the U.S. dollar against the euro, the downside prevails. Now, the RSI stands within a bearish channel, and the pair should face further weakness. The preference of trading central analysts for the EUI short positions below 78.50 with targets at 74 and 72.50 in extension. For the SFC, which is the U.S. currency against the Swiss franc, that pair is also under pressure. Now, its daily RSI has broken below the rising trend line, and because of that, trading central analysts prefer short positions below 107 with targets at 102 and 100 in extension. Last but not least, taking a quick look at the YUK, which is the U.S. currency against the Japanese yen. That pair, for that pair, the downside does prevail. Now, it is capped by a declining trend line and is challenging its support. The preference of trading central analysts is short positions below 89 with targets at 83.55 and 82.4 in extension. In our next segment, which is our weekly trend opinion, let's take a step back and take a look at the U.S. currency last week. Now, last week, the U.S. dollar continued to weaken against the other currencies. The trend is expected to stay in place, and trading central analysts do still hold their position on the PCO. In terms of portfolio performance since its inception in August of 2007, it is higher by 1,666.6%. And since the beginning of this year, January 2010, it is higher by 386.5%. Now, in terms of trade alerts, we have two of them for you right now, and the first one is to consider puts on the CDD and also for consider buying puts on the PCO. Now, let's start out by looking at the CDD. Now, that pair, the daily RSI is capped by declining trend lines, and regarding the PCO, which is the US dollar against the Mexican peso, the pair broke below its rising trend line and should reach its previous low. Looking ahead to next week, trading central analysts do remain bearish on the US dollar, and they will be searching for a pullback of configurations to enter short US dollar positions. Therefore, they will be keeping a close eye on the AUX, the NZD, and the SEK. They will be looking at the NZD because it is under pressure and it's challenging its rising trend line, and also breaking below this level will call for further weakness as the RSI remains on the downside. For the SEK, it has already broken below its rising trend line and is approaching its support. That does wrap it up for your weekly FX options report. Make sure to tune in next Wednesday for your latest update. Thanks for watching and have a great day.